Well, good evening. Today I am more energetic. So, one class of Perthes disease in the morning and one class of supposing you get a case of tuberculosis of the hip. What are the likely questions? So, in brief, let us understand a little bit about the pathogenesis of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, of course, is a very common problem. It is produced by Mycobacterium tuberculosis hominis. The infection spreads through the respiratory tract and it lodges in the lung. The Mycobacterium tuberculosis is an acid fast bacillus. It's the mycolic acid in the cell membrane that takes the acid fast stain. So, what you have to do to demonstrate a acid fast stain, you take the morning specimens for 3 consecutive days, cough or sputum specimen for 3 consecutive days. You mix equal amount of sodium hydroxide and centrifuge it, and this method is called as the Petrov's method. Then you take take out the supernatant, and from the plug you make a thick smear. All of you must have done it also. Flame fix the thick smear, put boiling carbol friction over the thick smear, and then after 2 minutes you wash it with 20% acid alcohol. If you are staining for leprosy, it is 3% acid alcohol, and if you are staining for tuberculosis, it is 20% acid alcohol. So, after that, you wash it with water, tap water, and counter stain with methylene blue or malachite green. Then you look at the slide with under the oil immersion of the microscope. So when we ask you this question, and if you fumble at this question, then you are very embarrassed because after all you've done this Zeal-Nelson staining and you should know about it. So this bacteria lodges in the lung. Around it, there are macrophages. Those macrophages engulf the bacteria, and by the lipid of the bacteria, they become epithelioid cells. Around it, there are lymphocytes, and then fibrosis. So, this is what is a tubercle. And in the center of the tubercle, there is caseation or caseous necrosis, a cheesy pink material which can either become liquefied and become an abscess, or it can become calcified. Now, this bacteria from here travels through bloodstream, and let us assume that it deposits somewhere in the hip through the bloodstream. The place it deposits is the head and the neck junction, where there is a triangle at the inferior border, which is called as the Babcock's triangle. It deposits there, tubercle forms there, and it involves three basic structures in the hip. The first structure it involves is the synovium. So there is a synovial effusion, and since the synovial effusion requires space, the hips goes into flexion, abduction, external rotation. Because of the abduction, the ASIS becomes lower. There is apparent lengthening, and the gait may become painful or antalgic. So this is the stage of synovial effusion. The next thing that involves is the articular cartilage. As the articular cartilage gets involved, rubbing of articular cartilage which is diseased causes pain, pain causes spasm, And as the most powerful muscle around the hip is the iliopsoas, therefore the limb goes into flexion, adduction, internal rotation. The adduction produces a higher ASIS and apparent shortening, and there may be another extra articular reason of iliopsoas like appendicitis, filarial lymphadenitis, amoebic encephalitis. Anything in the abdomen on the iliopsoas can produce a spasm. The way to distinguish between an intra-articular and an extra-articular cause is that in the intra-articular cause, rotational movements are painful. In the extra-articular cause, the rotational movements are free. And in the extra-articular cause, a careful palpation of abdomen would reveal a tender lump in the iliac fossa. So this is stage 2. The stage 3 is that the bone of the acetabulum gets involved, and gradually you find the head keeps on pressing the acetabulum and the acetabulum goes on rising and rising, up and up. That is called as a wandering acetabulum, and therefore with the flexion, adduction, internal rotation deformity of stage 2, there is true shortening. And of course, since the head and the acetabulum is also in contact with each other, therefore telescopy is absent. So this is stage 3A of wandering acetabulum. Then there can be so much of destruction of the head and the acetabulum and the ligaments that there is a pathological posterior dislocation of hip. And here, with flexion, adduction, internal rotation deformity with true shortening, you additionally get telescopy and a positive vascular sign of Narak. So these are the 3 stages of tuberculosis. The first stage, how would you investigate? To assess the general condition of patient, hemoglobin, TLC, DLC, ESR, GBP, BTCT, blood urea, blood sugar, urine and stool. To confirm the organism, sputum for AFB, sputum culture in Lowenstein-Janssens medium or Bactek medium or guinea pig inoculation. Either it can be sputum or it can be aspirate from the hip. And then histologically demonstrating the tubercle and the acid fast bacilli. Besides this, you can test for antibodies against tuberculosis which may be present in the body. And in any type of aspirate, you can do a RT-PCR, and that is a very, very sensitive test for diagnosing tuberculosis. Then the third thing is that you want to know what is the structural disturbance in the hip, and for that, the common thing is X-ray pelvis, AP view with both hips in identical position. What would you see in the X-ray? You will see a lytic lesion in the bone, head, Babcock's triangle, neck. You will see narrowing of the articular cartilage or absence of the articular cartilage. That means the joint space is lost. You can see bone destruction all around the hip. You can see a wandering acetabulum, or you can see pathological posterior dislocation of hip. So these are the investigations. You can add, detract, or modify the list as it suits you. Then what are you going to do for the treatment? So any osteoarticular tuberculosis must be treated by ATT for 18 months. First is AKT4 with pyridoxine with LIV52 to prevent toxicity. And after 6 weeks, when the short-term objectives have been achieved, that means the fever has subsided, the pain has subsided, you can continue with AKT3 or AKT2. That means isoniazid and ethambutol, or isoniazid and pyrazinamide. But it has to continue for 18 months. You can't do with dot 6 months or 9 months, because then there will be a very high recurrence rate, and this time the infection would be with resistant bacteria. Then you can do in stage 1 a below knee balance skin traction, absolute bed rest, antitubercular treatment. And you can see if since within 6 weeks the patient is walking, you can make him walk and continue the ATT. In case of stage 2, you also do the same treatment. But if there is residual pain, then you have to fuse the hip, or you can do a total hip replacement in the modern era in patients who are already covered with antitubercular treatment. If the patient needs squatting, then you can do an excisional arthroplasty, debridement of the joint. Then in stage 3, pathological posterior dislocation, you have to do a pelvic support osteotomy. So, this in very short is covering the tuberculosis of the hip. I hope when you get a case and you are asked questions, you can answer as promptly, precisely, and correctly all the questions that are asked. Best of luck.